further analysis, we're joined by Benjamin Engel. He's a professor of political science at Dankook University. Benjamin, thank you so much for being with us. Now, I just want to go straight to what Frank was talking about there, the support by hardcore supporters of Yoon that we can see waving flags despite him now being detained. Frank talking about how they are inspired by, YouTube producers perpetuating these lines about anti-state forces and the influence from North Korea. What do you make of that?
Well, that's definitely one of the driving factors behind the support for Yoon. Many of these conservative supporters are now upset, dissatisfied with the traditional legacy media outlets, and many have turned to YouTube for alternative sources of information. But with YouTube, you get a lot of opinion and less fact-checking, and these YouTube producers put out a lot of information that is just objectively false or very biased in different ways, and this is driving their helping drive their support for Yoon Suk Yeol. One additional factor I would add is that Lee Jae-myung, the leader of the opposition Democratic Party, is also quite unpopular in South Korea. And this is also having an effect on conservatives who really do not want to see Lee Jae-myung become the next president of South Korea. So that is also, I would say, helping to drive support of Yoon, this fear of somebody that conservatives really dislike coming into power.
And so how then do you think these events will have an effect on South Korean politics? How destabilizing will it be and polarizing as we see, vociferous protests from both the side that supports Yoon and the side that opposes him?
Right. So as shocking as the declaration of martial law on December 3rd was, Yoon's rhetoric after that has the potential to be more damaging to South Korea's democracy moving forward. He has just during his message he released today, right before he was arrested and taken in for questioning, stated that he believes the law of South Korea is collapsing. And he also, in his speech several weeks ago, trying to justify his martial law declaration, really leaned into election fraud conspiracies. So this is really undermining trust in South Korea's, basic democratic institutions, the rule of law, free and fair elections. So if you have whatever percentage it may be, 20, 30, 40% of the population believing that the game is fundamentally biased against them, they are going to be unwilling to participate in that process. And, that's when we could see some real bad things start to happen.
Certainly, and also, Yoon citing security concerns when he failed to show up to his hearing yesterday and talking about today only cooperating to, quote, avoid bloodshed. So if this process of the impeachment trial does, plays its course and results in Yoon being back in office, how do you think that will go for South Korea?
I would say Yoon coming back into office is really a worst case scenario, to be honest. Although there are supporters of Yoon, as was mentioned, 20, 30, 40%, a solid majority of the country does want to see Yoon Suk Yeol impeached. They are very angry, very upset with his declaration of martial law and no longer see him as a legitimate president. So it would bring a lot more people out into the streets after his, if he was able to survive impeachment. The protests would grow even larger. How would Yoon deal with that as now president again? What measures would he take to control those protests? That could be, again, a very dangerous situation.
Benjamin Engel, Professor of Political Science at Dankook University, thank you so much for your analysis.
Thanks for having me.